Hey everybody, it's Ryan Miller here from Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another live Thursday night episode. We've got a great guest on, somebody that I absolutely look up to in the industry, that's helped me in very many ways, somebody that I would absolutely consider to be a mentor for me inside of what I'm doing, and one of the first people to actually believe in the show and what my vision was for it, and for some reason still picks up my phone calls when I call him, which is great. And if he doesn't, he does text me back, which I will say the first time that happened was absolutely fantastic. But really quick, before we bring him on, huge shout out to all the show sponsors tonight. Abe Debabneh over at Smoke Inn Cigars, who is our guest tonight. K by Karen, BAMF Cigars, McAuliffe Cigars. Tonight we are going to be drinking the Axe and Oak Rye as we smoke the Smoke Inn exclusive cigar put out by Abe, called the Raji. And this was to commemorate the anniversary of Smoke Inn, as well as Sagrado Cigars and New Air Humidors. Big thank you to all of you guys. Now, really quick, I will not be having a show next week, as I will be traveling to Illinois, and it really won't be the best situation for me to have a show. So I'm going to be back the first week of December with our very first in-studio guest, John Stewart of Sagrado Cigars. So enough yapping by me. Nobody came here to listen to me talk. Let me go ahead and bring on Abe. And how you doing, Abe?
What's up, Ryan?
How's your night going?
Oh, just chilling. Glad to be here, buddy. Glad to be here. Just trying to share the show.
You know, they made it so much easier for Facebook now to share. Did you notice that when you do it
Nope.
from the phone?
I'm on the phone now.
Oh yeah, when you do it from the phone, you can actually now just select the your whole list of groups. I'm trying to get my microphone to be nice with me here, and it's not wanting to be. But so, Abe, what have you been up to?
Oh,
Not too much.
well, we got a lot of things that's been going on, man. TGS tickets dropped. Red Meat Lovers Club pre-order came in. Been a pretty busy week. Last weekend we had the winners from our Raji contest. So we had a contest. Anybody who bought a box of cigars got an entry for every box of cigars, and 3 people got picked. We flew 2 of them down. One was a local. It was originally supposed to be a cigar safari with the fine folks at Drew Estate, but they haven't opened up cigar safari yet. So we changed it to kind of a little Miami thing, and they came down. We took them out to dinner Thursday night. Friday we took them down to the El Tatan de Bronze factory where the Raji was rolled, and got to meet with Willie and Sandy, and Ryan from Drew Estate came by. It was really nice. Took us all out to lunch at one of the most historic Cuban restaurants in Little Havana, Versailles. Then we hung out at a cigar lounge in 8th Street. Then we went over to the Hard Rock, went to the Davidoff Lounge, hung out there for a little bit, had dinner there, came back here, hung out, did a little Sunday thing with KMA Talk Radio, and then sent everybody home. So it's kind of been a hell of a couple weeks.
It sounds like it's been very relaxing for you.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to light up a beef stick here.
Ooh,
these.
Yes.
So we took pre-orders for these. Sold the whole crop, loaded them back in March. They just landed. We started selling them, I believe, yesterday. So if you pre-ordered these, just go to your Smoke Inn account, go to your notification settings. There's a link there. Complete the order. It'll ship. And for everybody who's salivating, who didn't get a chance to get it on the pre-order, we do have some bundles left. We obviously wanted to get all our pre-orders out first, and the remaining inventory will be up for sale this Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time.
So, Abe, since you brought it up, let's start there with the Red Meat Lovers. So, you took pre-orders back in the spring. This is the second time that you actually have taken pre-orders from that. or I should say for that. And I think it's the only time that you've taken, or the second time you've ever taken pre-orders for most of the stuff, right? For any of the
Well,
other cigars.
so Red Meat Lovers is one of our microblend series. These are projects that we work with manufacturers to develop unique blends. And because our runs are significantly smaller than when they're trying to make a full production line, we have a little more versatility in what we can create with a blend, or what they can create with a blend, and what we enjoy. Let's be honest. I'm not creating any blends. Um, so our microblend series have always been kind of one and done projects. The first Red Meat Lovers Club project we did, we sold out. The second one, um, we ordered a lot more based on the first one. It lasted a little bit longer. And the third one, we sold out like I think in 2 days. It was like crazy. So normally our microblend projects we don't revisit, but this was such a big hit and so popular that Steve from Dunbarton Tobacco Trust and I just kind of decided it'd kind of be cool if this would be something that everybody could look forward to every Thanksgiving. Save a turkey, smoke a beef stick, smoke a red meat lovers. So um, it's really the first blend in our micro blend series that has become like an annual drop. So being that we weren't able to get the number right, I just kind of came up with this idea and talked to Steve about it, and he loved it. I said, "Look, I'd like to do pre-orders because we're not getting the number right. We sold out in 2 days. We had a lot of unhappy people that year. That year we did that, and he loved the idea. So we opened it up for the first time last year for a 2 week period. We didn't want to tie up people's money, so it's a simple $25 non-refundable deposit. We make it non-refundable because we're making these cigars to order based on your
Sure.
reservation,
Yep.
and it was a big hit. Everybody loved it. It took away the ability of people jumping on buying quantities to just sell for secondary market. It really removed the secondary market because anybody who really wanted it had ample time to go out and get it. Nobody had to worry about crashing a website. They had 2 weeks to put their pre-orders in, at their casual leisure, and it worked out very, very good. So it's hard to do it with a blend that hasn't. See, but by the time we did it, I think it was in the fourth year, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It was in the fourth year we did it. It built such a following, right? So we knew there was a couple thousand people who really loved the cigar, which makes all the difference. So it's hard to do it with a blend that you're coming out new because no one's had it yet. They're less apt to say, "Hey, let me pre-order this," or "I'm going to try it." So it really works with Red Meat Lovers Club, and I think we might do it with a couple of other projects that we might bring back that have been out before. But it's just a nice way, and people just go log on, they make their payment. And like I said, we always order because we know there are people who are going to hear about Red Meat Lovers Club for the first time when they start landing, and they've already started landing. I've seen the pictures. So people will hear it. Oh, how do I get it? How do I get it? So we always order a little extra. So Monday at noon, they'll be up for sale for those people who didn't get it on the pre-order. It's going to cost them slightly more because the pre-order people got a benefit by pre-ordering way back in March. And, I see that going to be the future for our annual November drops for the Red Meat Lovers Club.
No, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I want to address something here before I state my point. Um, Kevin asks if you guys have uh, sent over cookies from Brandy yet.
No,
All
no,
right, no, there you go.
no. Listen, I really want to make a company out of this. I even ordered like 6 different gourmet cookies from 6 different companies just to study the packaging. One is a real winner. One I really liked. The other couple were garbage, and the cookies were garbage. And all 4 or 5 whatever gourmet companies, I forgot how many ordered from, the cookies were terrible. Um, I'd like to make a business out of it. My wife has absolutely no desire to do it, so I will have her make a batch, though, Kevin, that I will send to you. So I don't know if you're watching, honey, but if you are, you're gonna have to make a batch of cookies.
So now why do you think that nobody really has kind of stepped up and taken that pre-order aspect of cigars, because that's kind of like a really big deal. That allows you, for one, like you said, to keep the scavengers off of the secondhand, third hand market, but that also gives you exact numbers of what people want. Now, is everybody going to pay in the end? Maybe not, but that's what the
Well,
deposit's for.
yeah, we take a deposit for it, and the brand is so hot right now that even if they lose the deposit and don't get it, we're not worried about it. It sold out last year
Correct.
fairly quickly afterwards. Um, I don't know, creativity, laziness. I don't know. It makes sense. Look, I don't think there's a model of anybody out there that does what we do with the microblend series, right? I mean, we're on, I think, rendition now 19. I think we have eight. Cage of Dog, I think, was number 18 of our
Amazing cigar.
microblend series with Espinosa cigars. So nobody really has something like that, which has developed its own kind of cult following. So just to say, there it is. There's Cage, the dog. So to say, it's a pre-order on something that nobody really has a following with or heard of, it's kind of hard. And it wouldn't work even with all our projects. So we know that Big Delicious was a big hit. Little Big Delicious was a big hit. So if Little Big Delicious comes out again, it would be something I could do a pre-order with, because I know there's a few hundred of people there who'd love to get their hands on Little Big Delicious again.
Yeah, I mean, I Little Big Delicious was. I still have three left. I've been babying the box. Um, it is. It's awesome. I think it's one of Room 101's best. So since we're on the topic of Little Big Delicious, let's kind of dive into what is going on in March for TGS 2023. For all those people that still don't know what it is, let us know what it is, and then I've got a video to put up as well, and I've got the bundle. So actually, let's show the TGS teaser video first. So we're gonna go ahead.
I'm actually gonna send you something too, because it has to be shown, and I don't know if you have enough time to get it up while we're talking. But I just sent you something regarding the Great Smoke on your phone. So to recap it, I know we probably got a lot of people who've heard this story. So during COVID, we really didn't want to cancel the event, so we creatively came up with a way to really make it like a television broadcast. It was very popular, extremely well received by not just consumers who participated, consumers who watched it, and other people in the industry. And we got prompted to continue to do a live version, a virtual version of this event. And it really challenged us in 2022 to take this event that we've at that point had done for 15 years live, 16 years. I mean, 1 year digital, virtual only. And now we're going to say, how are we going to do this both at the same time? And it was a real challenge. And this past year, the last luau, which was a Hawaiian luau based event, it came off very, very well. I mean, there was stuff that we know we're going to improve on and make better for this year. But people who couldn't travel, who maybe still a bit were afraid to travel, couldn't get off of work, was able to participate from the comfort of their own home. And it made it very popular. I mean, the swag pack alone is such a killer deal that I even think some people just bought the package and didn't even participate or watch or take advantage of anything else, which is, nothing you do about that. But if you got an image of the package, I mean, this is a heck of a package here. So it's literally over $400 worth of stuff. The value of the cigars alone are crazy. And this is what basically your $165 ticket gets you. It gets you 32 premium cigars. And if you go to the website, you can see who the companies are involved. The event ashtray, the event bead, sponsored by Rocky Patel, the event cutter, the event lighter. Beautiful head. I got the prototypes here. They're all being shipped, and they're all in the process of being shipped. The event shot glass, lanyard, drawstring bag, a rally towel. There's a pretty heavy duty bottle opener there. The picture doesn't do it justice in there, and a carry bag. This is all for $165. And the list of cigars, you can see them, the companies online. They've always been great. So this is really a crazy package to get alone. And so if you come to the event live, you collect all this the day of the event. If you order it virtually, it gets shipped to your house. There's a shipping fee. Obviously, it's a big package. and then you get to participate on the main event day. And the company who originally did the digital version of the Great Smoke came out last year, and they'll be doing it again. It's a company out of Atlanta, and they're great. They've done the Golden Globes, they've done Soul Train, Kings of Comedy. So it's a really kind of a high production value. And people at home can watch it and participate, and they get access to the special TGS store, the special events. So we have 5 manufacturers who make a special edition TGS cigar. This year it's Steve Saka, Alec and Bradley Rubin, Rafael Nodal, who's slated in our connoisseur club, so he's very excited to make a TGS cigar for us from Altadis USA, Robert Holt Southern Draw, and Ernesto Perez Carrillo from EPC Cigars. And these special releases will start on January 4th and be like every couple of weeks leading up to the event. So no matter whether you bought a virtual ticket or live ticket, we'll have a mini broadcast with the manufacturer. The product will go on sale, and no matter where you are, as long as you have your ticket purchased beforehand, there's a reference number. You'll be able to enter the TGF store and buy those limited releases. So I run the event. I'm on the virtual side a little bit, but your real host and the man who's become the face of virtual Great Smoke has been Michael Herklotz. Michael Herklotz is my co-host for the digital experience back in 2021. Came back to do the virtual side in 2022, and will be returning in 2023, along with Kim Keeney and Paul LaGracco of Paul of KMA Talk Radio, our producer, and Kim Keeney from the cigar industry, who really did a great job last year. And were you able to load up that image yet?
Yeah, I'm getting it set up right now.
Rendered, yeah. So we of course, it's Mardi Gras themed, so we created a cool little there, and there you have it. There you have it. So Michael, obviously we photoshopped this because Michael would never wear a suit like that, and we just figured that would be a great picture for Paul. He wasn't too thrilled about it, but Paul
is he photoshopped, or is that really Paul?
Oh, they're all photoshopped. They're all photoshopped.
That is too good. I'm sure he's super happy about that.
No, yeah, he was thrilled. He was thrilled.
So let's see what kind of comments that produced.
Right.
Show us your beads.
Yeah, Jeremy, we have a plethora of beads that are going to be going on at the Great Smoke. Obviously, you saw the one that's sponsored by Rocky Patel. You'll see them. That'll come with your kit, but there'll be the throwing of beads. We got some wild entertainment. We got some cool things this year. We plan on making a very Mardi Gras style. And what's crazy is the Friday before the main event is actually St. Patrick's Day. So we'll be celebrating St. Patrick's style probably at our Saka event Friday night, and then going from St. Patty's Day to Mardi Gras the next day. But being able to do it virtually has expanded our event now to 1,000 extra people all over the country who could just be part of it without having to get on a plane, fly, rent a hotel, get a car. So doing it the second year this year is going to be obviously a lot easier than doing it the first time last year, but it's always a project and the production crew and the timing. But we're very excited about the Great Smoke this year, man. We got a lot of kind of cool things lined up for the Great Smoke. So I think Tommy, that's Seth. I think the theming of the event was one of the greatest moves we made in the event's history, and we have themes planned out for the next 3 years already.
Now, for those that went last year, is it the same venue?
So it's funny because there's a couple things. So yeah, the venue, since we went to the fairgrounds, we were what they called the agriplex buildings, which were kind of like indoor-outdoor buildings, 2 buildings side by side. We used both buildings. Last year, we were notified like mid to late December that somebody who obviously they were charging a lot more money than we're charging us wanted the agriplex building. So they moved us in the main event hall, which is typically a non-smoking area, and a lot more expensive, and they didn't charge us extra. Now, normally you'd say that's great, but we had already have floor plans set out that we've been using for 4 years or so. I literally had to spend like 17 hours revamping the floor plan, trying to figure out how to reconfigure something that was taking part in 2 buildings now and put it into 1. Well, the event happened. We kind of fell in love with the space. So we're back into it, and it's kind of why we're in March this year because that hall books out so early. There's nothing available in February, even right after the Great Smoke this past February, already a year out. So the hall is obviously exponentially a little bit more money than the other buildings, and the cost of everything. Someone made a comment because this year we went with 32 companies instead of 40, which kind of upset some of our manufacturer friends, but really we were going to cut it down to 30, and two really fought really hard, and floor space actually designated the 32 booths because we made the booths a little bit bigger to give each manufacturer a little more room. 32 fit better than 30, but our goal this year, look, the Great Smoke ticket I think has been the same price for 4 years now, and the cost of everything is going up. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
since before the pandemic, our price has been the same, and after the pandemic, things have skyrocketed. The hall costs us tens of thousands of dollars more that we're in now. Cost of cigars, everybody's seen the price increases every month being posted by somebody. Everything's just going up. But honestly, in this economy, and the way gas prices are, and people who pay rent, and rent's through the roof, groceries are through the roof. I mean, just the cost of living is so high. It was my goal not to raise prices this year. And
We thank
with
you
all
for
the
that.
cost and everything, for 32 cigars, it's still like a crazy, crazy value. And
Absolutely.
I just thought lessening the cigars, keeping the ticket price the same for at least one more year would be more, and keeping the experience on par, not shortening on the experience of what we provide, was more important than somebody getting 40 sticks versus 32 sticks. So that was the intention there. I think next year we're probably going to have to raise ticket prices, but we wanted to hold it at least one more year. We didn't think that this was the best time to raise ticket prices for our fans and patrons.
You got it really quick before I address that. You got to check out this comment.
I
You have
know,
a
Mark.
guy
I read it on Facebook.
skipping his son's wedding. That is dedication. No,
All I can
I
say,
totally
all I can
agree. Oh,
say,
go ahead.
Mark, is I just hope it's not his first wedding. I mean,
You get a little bit of a
it's his
break.
second or third wedding.
Now, I do got to say, I mean, $169 with all of that swag,
I think
with
5, yeah.
the $165 with all the swag, with 32 cigars. 32 cigars alone, you barely can get. If you can get quality cigars for $165, you're going to get
I'm
32.
pretty confident. I haven't looked at the spreadsheet in a while, but it's either just under or just over $300 value in just cigars. So, and that's not
Exactly.
including.
Like it's a no brainer.
It's always been a no-brainer. That's kind of why it sells out every year. But we've always been about bringing value, right? We bring a lot of value to this event, but value only gets so far because you experience the value once, but that's a one-time experience. But the experience of the event lingers forever. So our goal every year is always to try to make the most memorable experience possible for everybody. Now, whether you come down physically or you're at home, we want you to still have. We do our best to try to give you the feel and the vibe of what's going on there in your own living room. Of course, it's not the same, but that's our goal.
Now, I am looking so forward to coming down. I actually bought into, and this will kind of segue into my opinion, the greatest Facebook group for cigars out there. But I was part of and fortunate to be invited to be part of the socialite table buy, where I think we a bunch of socialites got together because you could buy a private table, but you're essentially got to get you're buying 8 VIP tickets, and with that then you get or 7 other or 6 other, if you're bringing a guest, people to kind of come in on that table with you. So I was honored to be invited to that, which was great. My wife and I I'm bringing my wife with me, and we're very excited to both be able to meet you and actually have a cigar with you. But talk about the private tables. How has the reception been for that? Are they still? Did they
All
go as fast as you wanted?
all tickets are gone. Tables, non-tables. So, I mean, if you want to test it to how popular this event is getting, last year I'm not I'm not 100% on this. I'm just going off of feel and memory. But I think last year it took roughly 45 days or slightly longer to sell out of VIP tickets. We sold out of VIP tickets the first day it went live to the public. I mean,
Okay.
it just, we had never seen that before, never expected it to be. We used to not even sell a block of rooms, sell out a block of rooms. We're going to sell out three different blocks
Yeah, I
of
was
rooms.
gonna say I just saw you posted the third
Yep,
block.
in two different locations. The
Jeez.
event is fastly becoming literally the most popular, and in my opinion, is the best cigar event in the country. Um, so it's one of those things where it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. I mean, VIP tickets sold out like lightning, and we weren't expecting it. Um, but we kind of tell everybody, look, there's a couple perks VIP gets. They come in a little bit hour earlier, and there's girls that wait on them. But the real difference, overall experience between a VIP and a general admission ticket is very little. The biggest benefit mostly is just getting in an hour early. Most of the people who sit in VIP get up and walk into the public area where all the general admission people are most of the day anyway. So, it's going to be an interesting year this year because we literally have one ticket for every seat. So we never try to sell it. So we look at about 100. We look at every year after Great Smoke, we'll sit in this office, about 7, 8 of us, and revamp the event the Monday after the event. So last year we had 106 items of improvement. One of the things everybody kept asking about us was to sit people together. So what sounds like an easy thing for consumers, they never realize the headache and the nightmare that has to happen in the back end to make that happen, because everything we do is so automated. So it was really reprogramming the site so it would handle table sales. It would pull 8 tickets out of the main inventory because there's only a certain amount of inventory. And then those tickets have to be generated. But those 8 people have to get their ticket because their reference ID gets them to the TGS store for the special releases. But we put a handful up this year. They all sold out. And I think it's something that we'll look to do again next year, so people could sit together. So we do listen to what people say every year, and we try to improve on it and make it better. Sometimes it just takes a little longer for us to get it there and get it right. But this was our first year doing it, and it seemed to go over very well. Everybody seemed to like it. So you'll probably be able to rent. You'll probably be able to buy group tables again next year without a doubt.
Now, how many tables did you have set aside for private purchase, and how many tables is there in total in VIP?
I think there's roughly a total of 48 tables.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, I think there's a total of 48 tables, 46, 48 tables. And I think we put up 10. It could be 10 or 12. It's 8 to 12. I can't remember. That's kind of Alex's department, but it was something like 8 to 12 tables, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm not sure what he finally went with.
Wow. Those sold out quick.
Everything sold out quick. Like I said, I've never, ever, ever, ever seen it where it sold out like the first day it went live. So,
Yeah. I mean, that, like I said, I was fortunate enough to be included. My wife and I, with Jeff and Laura
yeah,
Orcott.
Jeremy Dasher knows more than I do. He tells you it's 12 VIP tables. See,
Dasher knows more than most
he
people.
knows more than I do.
Now, I last year you actually had a great cigar released at the Great Smoke outside of the TGS exclusives, the Cerberus.
Yes, some of the manufacturers have gotten smart on how they want to handle coming to the Great Smoke and being part of it. And I think if it lines up in their how they're releasing a brand, I can't. I'm not sure. I think 1 or 2 companies are doing it again this year. They're just tying in the launch of a new line. Knuckle Sandwich and Cerberus kind of was done at the Great Smoke, which launched at around that time. And I think there might be 1 or 2 this year, which I think is brilliant on the behalf of a manufacturer, because if you got a new brand coming up, what better way to really get out there and put it in a few thousand people's hand and have them talking about it. So
Yeah, McAuliffe, Dan just says that they're going to debut the Leanda Toro
yeah,
at TGS. So that's got to make you feel really good, though. Like you've built this show, and you're at what now? 14 years,
This is 17.
17 years,
Yeah.
and now you have manufacturers dropping very big cigars there. Instead of holding off for the PCAs and the TPEs, how does that make you feel now that they're using your creation as a jump off for lines?
I mean, look, you have some of the footage I think you're going to play of the Great Smoke that happened.
Yep.
Just visually seeing that blows my mind away. From where we started in front of our West Palm Beach location 17 years ago, it's become a premier event. And, I don't think anybody's giving up their PCA release, but I think if they have something that's going to drop around the Great Smoke time, they've realized that, oh, yeah, somebody's spamming your YouTube page. Hot girls just for you. It's probably Seth Rosen. But,
Block user.
yeah.
There are going to be girls at TGS, but
Yes.
not for me.
But I mean, look, it's just gotten to the point where people are excited about it. We have Michael Herklotz making a very special version of Timeless Black. It's going to be available for all the people who come to his, pre-event dinner. Saka was really working on something special. That's just not going to make it. Poor guy is underwater, and I understand what's going on. But yeah, I mean, there are people now who are keying in, trying to make stuff because it's become that type of event and the exposure of the event. And it's the quality of the people that come down. There are other major events that have happened in the past where really it's not about any interaction. It's not about having experience. It's about collecting as much cigars as they can for the lowest amount of money. And that's kind of not what our event's ever been about. And the manufacturers realize that and they embrace it. They want to be part of it. So, Evan Darnell, I'm working on your copy. Your copy will be up for the Red Meat Lovers Club with all of the menu items. They'll be up by tomorrow. But it's a constant work. It's a constant work of art that's constantly changing and it never ends. And it's part of our daily lives. I mean, we kind of work on this all year round now. It used to be we got to focus on it 4 or 5 months a year, and now it's all year round. So,
well, let's go ahead real quick. Let's take a quick minute here. I think the video is only about a minute, and show the highlights to see what so everyone gets an idea if they don't know or haven't seen it yet. So, all right, here we go.
Yeah, you can see it's gotten pretty big, and we had Guy Fieri there last year releasing his knuckle sandwich cigar with Espinosa Cigars, and you can see the Hawaiian theme. There was a main stage there, and off to the side of it, it was the virtual stage where Michael Herklotz was stationed and broadcasting to everybody at home.
And so, what's going to be the big difference for people that went virtual last year and are going virtual again this year? What changes have been made for their experience, if you're willing to discuss?
Most of it's technical stuff, the quality of production, stuff that we saw last year we didn't like, we got to improve on. It's just going to be stylization of the broadcast, mostly what's going to change, and for them, other than that, really nothing much. obviously the changes in the swag pack they receive. It's different cigars, different theme, but for the people at home, mostly it's just the quality of the presentation. That's where we look to improve. And when we did the digital experience, we kind of had some interaction, like the cocktail section and some other things. And we don't know if we'll have time to get it in this year because still a lot of things we're working on. But it may be something we can incorporate in 2024.
You obviously already have the theme for 2024. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to divulge it. But
2024, 25, and 26.
I was just going to ask you how many years forward. So then, are you, now that this is going forward, at what point in time do you start planning? I'm only asking this so people understand the time, because I shared with you a little bit. I put on a fundraiser myself this last year, and it was a shit ton of time. I mean, I didn't realize all of it, just like I didn't realize how much time it takes to do a show and do all the prep work and everything to be prepared. But when do you start actually diving into the next year?
It's gotten beyond that, Ryan. It's blended now because we come up with ideas for 2024. We jot them down now. We come up with ideas for 2025. We jot it down now. Knowing the theme in advance, we're constantly looking. Oh, this is going to be great for that, or this is going to be great for that. It really is just all year round, and most of the time we work on multiple years now in the current year. We've already picked a date for 2024. We're still in 2022, so it's a blended now. Obviously, the intensity of the amount of work gets greater for that current year as you approach it, but it's a blended job now. It's an all year job.
I'm looking so forward to it. I love the fact that everything is selling quicker than you expect. I think that's just a great kudos to you for the event and the experience. One of the things that you've always taught me is every guy has pretty much every lounge can have absolutely the same cigars. It's the experience that makes it different. And you've obviously proven that you can create that experience to not only keep people coming back but continuously grow it. So what year over year style growth are you looking at, or are you just at this point peaked on number but watching it sell out faster?
No, we've added 500 more tickets this year, and there's no such word as peak for us. Now that we're in the main exhibit hall, there's an attached hall it's another 35,000 square feet. So we have room to grow. We have room to keep it going, and I've never been the person to get complacent and say, okay, we don't need to do any more. It's always what more we could do. I have an expression, I can't remember, I was talking, I think, with Les Mann from ST DuPont. It's like, if you really want to be successful in life, never focus on the 95% of the stuff you do right. It's kind of one of the things I struggle with staff a lot of times is they just want to focus on all the things they do right. Well, you do it right. You don't need to focus on it. You need to focus on the 5% you need improvement on. Yeah. And that's kind of how we attack everything, including something like the Great Smoke. We don't get all watered down and how awesome it was. Or we literally, the first thing we do is look at all the messed up things and because we need to jot it down while it's fresh in our memory. We literally have a 106 bullet list of stuff for this year that we're looking to either add, improve, or make better. So this year is going to be extremely experience driven. There's going to be a lot of new activations. Drew Estate's got something big planned. It's going to be an epic year. I mean, it's kind of really funny because I say this every year. This is going to be the best one ever. This is going to be you sound like a broken record when you do that, or you're like a snake oil salesman, but we just keep making it so that every year is kind of really the best one ever. And that's how we go into doing every one of these events. I think that's why it's becoming so popular. It's never, let's just do this event. I've traveled the country. I've been to 5 major cigar events in different parts of the country. And I think they have a model and they run it and that's it. And we literally just spend as much free time as possible as how does this get better next year? What's a cooler thing we can add next year? And that's how we look at the event. And I
But if
think
you do an
the
event,
consumers appreciate that. They
of
embrace it.
course,
And that's why they keep coming back, because
absolutely.
every year it's like a new experience.
Every year really should be the best year ever because you want to always be building upon what you did the year before, because that also keeps people coming back for the next best year that you put on. So I mean, I understand how you feel it's a broken record, but I personally think it should be touted as every event is better than the last. Now, question here from Bruce. He asks, do you hire specific employees just to work TGS year round or just for the event?
So there's about two, three, four of us that are really involved in the production of the Great Smoke. So for us, that's an all year round project. So there, we don't hire anybody that just handles it. That just gets slopped into our regular workload.
So there's, you don't, what about like servers and everything like that? Do you hire specifically
Oh,
or are you
we
bringing
hire
in
we hire
the
probably
company?
about 60. We have probably about 60 people outside of our organization that work the event.
Okay. So there you go, Bruce. They bring on around 60
But
people to
that
help
that's
with
for
the
the
event.
day of the event,
Correct.
right? He was asking if we have people who just work on it all year round, like that's their job. No,
Oh no, that's what Abe's job is, because it's not like
like
he
I
doesn't
said,
have
there's about 3 or 4 of us that are heavily involved in making it happen, and it's what we work on all year round.
now. I want to kind of touch base. I know this is not available anymore, but I just want to show everybody for next year. I know the 2021 is available, but I have mine, and I just didn't bring it out. But I want to show everyone this is the Advent calendar. So for
Did you
those
did you break
watching,
that seal yet?
I did not, and I actually thank you for putting that seal. I think that that keeps my grubby little paws out of it, as well as, oh my gosh, you and Jerome did such a great job on this coin. I mean, it is fantastic. Look how thick that is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's great. You did a great job on it. So tell everybody, because I know the 2021s are still available, and I was privileged to be able to get one of those, which was a fantastic advent calendar. So just kind of walk everybody through what this is, what makes this different from other advent calendars, and why should they go on and pick up last year's if they didn't.
So the Advent calendars, for those of you who don't know what it is basically a holiday calendar that's for every day of December, from December 1st to the 25th. And typically start, I think, for kids with chocolates and candies in each one. But almost every industry has gotten into some form or version of an Advent calendar: wine, beer, cosmetics. I've seen it all. So we released our first one ever last year. What made ours really special is, one, the packaging was stellar. I think Half Wheel had us at number 4 packaging of the year last year. Um, and it's a real advent calendar. There are 24 drawers in that humidified box, and a 25th special presentation window box. It's beautifully decorated on the outside and the inside. When you open it, it's meant to be displayed for the month of December somewhere nice, and you could show it. And we sold out this year pretty quick. I think it was a little over a week. We sold out all of our 2022 calendars. We have some 2021 that are at a substantial discount. I think they're like 30, 35% off. Um, and if you're holiday shopping and you're watching, this is probably one of the coolest gifts you can get a cigar guy. So look, it's one of those things, because some other people, I mean, the Tatuaje Advent calendars are cool. They're out. They pretty much, I think they're sold out. We might have maybe a couple of the Tatuaje Advent calendars left. Um, but, you know, a lot of the manufacturers who tried this, first off, we're the only one that has 25 different cigar brands. So we're not a branded company. We're getting all the cigars from one company, which is nice. Um, and then the bigger companies, I thought was funny, is they tell you what's in it, which kind of defeats the purpose of an advent calendar. I guess their marketing people just couldn't relate. Is, how are people going to buy 25 cigars and they don't know what it is? Well, if you got the reputation of making stellar projects and cool stuff, people trust you. It's called trust.
Mhm.
So Obviously, our following knows our reputation. They trusted our judgment. They trusted us last year. They trusted us even more this year. And I think people are going to be extremely elated this year when they go through 25 cigars, especially December 25th. It really is a super duper special one. It's kind of one of the reasons why we were only able to make 200 advent calendars this year. Um, and we'll do it again next year. It's going to be a fun project. So, um, like I said, if you're out there and you're still wondering what you're going to get your favorite cigar friend or family member or spouse for Christmas, it's November 10th. You can get it well before the end of December. We still have our 2021 calendars. There are 525 Epic cigars in there. It's the coolest gift you can get anybody. Go to smokein.com and just search Advent and it'll come up.
Now, 25 for me last year was the first time I ever had it. And I was blown away that was included, because that was absolute. And this is kind of the fun of it. Was never a cigar that I would have bought myself just because of the over. I'm not going to give it away for anybody that's looking at buying it. But it wasn't a cigar that I would have bought myself because of the price point. And that's
So
kind of the fun of it.
the other challenge last year was availability of product. So
Correct.
we didn't make a million Advent calendars. We made a relatively small amount in terms of production for any cigar company. That 25th cigar in last year's calendar, we had to receive over 2.5 months. I mean, they were lucky that the container had gotten delayed because we hadn't had all their cigars. They literally shipped me a quantity that we needed over 5 different shipments in
Oh,
increments over
geez.
about 2 months. Yeah, that was the other hurdle last year, getting product from people who had it to spare, especially that cigar. That cigar was out of stock everywhere and hard to get. So, but when you have the reputation we have after 26 years in the business and the relationships we made with these manufacturers, I'm blessed to say that they all go on a limb for us. They believe in the stuff we do and get behind us and never try to sell us short. That's why at the Great Smoke, you're not getting a cigar from 1985 that's been out for 52 years. You're not getting the lowest, cheapest cigar they make. These guys want to come. And honestly, that was another reason why we cut it down to 32. Some of the companies have just gotten into the routine, is the word, I guess. I'm just thinking this is an event that they just come and hand out a cigar and take a ticket from everybody, and the event is way more than that. So we really just wanted to work with the companies who really wanted to come and come with a presence and really work the event and bring their best to make the overall experience better for people who are coming from all over the world. You know, so for us, that was also part of the decision of weeding out some of the we're just showing up to show up. You know, it bigger and better than that. And your mentality is you think you can send a rep who's just going to be by himself behind a table doing this all day and not really doing anything for the crowd. We don't need that. I don't think that is for the experience of the event.
No, and I totally agree with you. And you know what? You're asking for the top tier of the company to be there at the event, and it, quite frankly, I think that's a fair with how long. It's not like this is your second one or your first one.
No,
Like, it's a proven concept at this point. And in my opinion, you have every right to be like, listen, either you show up or we've got to go with somebody else,
I mean, look,
or
the
touch
way,
you.
the way we look at it is, look, a lot of people. I mean, you have the people at home watching, which is one of, but a lot of people are spending a lot of money coming from all over the country: Alaska, Israel, Canada. If you're a cigar manufacturer, especially most of these guys are here in South Florida, and 4 or 5 hours of your afternoon is too much to commit to this event and the people who support the event and our company, then our just event's not for you.
Mhm.
You know,
That
I
makes
mean,
sense.
sometimes I understand things happen. Eric Espinosa missed one. Forget about not coming. Nobody from his company came because Eric Jr. got married on the day of the Great Smoke. He's been there ever since year one, but he couldn't even send anybody from his company because everybody in his company was going to the Great Smoke. So we understand stuff happens, but typically if the owner, typically there are faces of the company you could send, but just to send a local rep that nobody knows or really is not trained handle interaction with consumers like this and whatnot. It's just not where the event's at anymore. Maybe, and it's really funny because to defend to in defense of some of these manufacturers, some of them were doing it because they just felt they had to be supportive. And I literally had talks with them and saying, look, when we first started this event and nobody knew what we were doing, yes, we needed everybody's support to help make it happen. But it doesn't need that anymore. You don't have to feel compelled to do the event because you're trying to show your support for me as an organization. You do that in tons of other ways all year long in business.
Sure.
You know, I have 32 spots and I probably got 50 companies that want to be involved in this. If this is not something you're wholeheartedly excited about doing every year, then you just need to pass on it because there's other guys waiting and chomping at the bit to get in. So this was the first year we kind of had to have that conversation with people. And I'm going to be honest with you, they all took it pretty good.
Yeah.
They all took it pretty good. You know, I mean, so they got it. And look, it's going to be one of those things where we're going to look every year and maybe the bottom four who either didn't come strong or didn't perform well or for whatever reasons, and look to give those spots to maybe newer companies who've never had the chance to do it. So there's always going to be some kind of fresh mix of some at least new people in every year. Otherwise, companies like McAuliffe would have never gotten in.
Yeah, and Dan is definitely very attentive to his audience.
Yeah.
Well, I just got to bring this up. Bruce just went online and bought a 2021 Advent.
You got to wait till December, Bruce. Wait till December, buddy.
I think right now, before I ask another question around Advent, I think right now would be a great time to show the promo video for TGS. Hang tight.
I didn't realize he sent you that. So at the end of every great smoke, I think we started as a digital experience where we announced the last luau. I think in Can You Dig It, which was our 70s themed in 2020, we verbally said what it was going to be. But now, since we're digital experience, that was the closing video at the end of our event this year. So we'll always tease what the next theme is going to be. So at the end of the event this year, you'll see a little video like that giving you a tease of what the theme will be in 2024.
And that little teaser, again, keeps people nice and excited for the next year. As we were actually talking about the Advents really quick, I'm going to jump back because there was a question I wanted to ask you. You had mentioned that it was your reputation that allows you to sell the Advents the way you do and as fast as you do because people trust you. I'm really curious to know how many people bought the Advents that are in the Best Damn Cigar Club because of that trust, that those people are like, we're buying that Advent calendar. I wonder, do you know that number? I think that would be kind of an interesting
I don't understand the question you asked me.
So of the 200, how many of those 200 that bought the Advent calendar are also in the Cigar Club?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a different model because, look, buying, like I said, my team couldn't fathom why General and Oliva literally list the cigars of the Advent calendar on the outside of the box or showed it on press releases because they're like, that defeats the purpose. And I just said, look, these marketing guys mostly are from European companies and they just can't conceive how you're going to sell something and not tell anybody what they're getting. Cigar of the Month clubs are different, right? So obviously you could look back at the history. I think there are bloggers or guys who do boxings. So you could see our track record of every selection for 2 years. So it's not as blind. And then, like, I've been in the industry 26 years. So I think I built a decent reputation of delivering, quality and good choices. And, this is my baby project. I mean, this stays right by my desk. I just grabbed it. The red dots are the choices. You can't see them. I don't want you to read them. But The red dots, I've already picked out my December selections. It'll go out November 28th, build on November 28th, shipped on November 28th, unless it's a Sunday. And here is every month from month 1 to month 42 what I've picked, because I study it, try to make sure I don't pick something twice, see what the patterns are. It's not just some BS. Let's throw 5 cigars in a bag. I mean, this is homework for me. It's a project, and
they're not overstock. They're not under. They're not.
no, we buy the gray area. The gray area at the bottom. I don't know if you see this gray. The white area is what we currently have in the warehouse now. The gray area is stuff we are ordered and we're waiting to get into our warehouse for upcoming months. So we see something we like, we reach out to the manufacturer. Almost every manufacturer is happy to be involved in our Cigar of the Month Club, and it's just a real product. So, if you're looking to really expand, look, I've always said ours is not a selling club, right? We're not, because look, one of the things when we thought about Cigar of the Month Club is, I'm telling you, when we got into it over 3.5 years ago, every club was boring. I never saw positive stuff. I never saw positive stuff on social media about it. It was always, look at this crap I got. This is the 6th month in a row I got this brand or this brand. So I really said, look, let's create something that really is a club, something to help people expand their horizons. And one of the things here we do at Smoke Inn is, it's funny, as a retailer, everybody's different policies. Some people allow you 1 free cigar a day or whatever. Our rule of thumb has always been, look, you pay cost. You pay what I pay. I don't get to smoke for free, right? If I go out and grab a cigar, I had to pay cost for this. And our employees get that same benefit because I don't need to profit on them. I want my employees to expand their smoking experiences. So
the more they know, the better they sell.
Exactly. And the better overall employees they are, and the better they are to service the consumer. So we don't need to profit on that. Let them go out and try stuff. And that's always been our policy, and our Cigar of the Month Club works the same way. You basically get cigars for a stupid price. I mean, typically the packages are anywhere from $50 to $65, and currently it's $29.95 delivered, going up for the first time in almost 4 years this January. Slight increase. It'll be in a letter in everybody's next package. But after almost 4 years, it's got to go up a little. But it was $29.95 delivered. That includes shipping. So I mean, you take shipping of $4 or so, you're really paying like, $26 for $50 plus worth of cigars typically. So, but it's because we want you to try stuff. You're more willing to try stuff if you're not paying full fare on it. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen the post, whether it's in our socialite group or on our pages or in other groups. Man, I would have never tried the cigar, thought about to try the cigar. I got my Cigar of the Month Club. So happy I got it. For us, that's what our Cigar of the Month Club is about. Is expanding people's horizons and experiences, trying things they normally wouldn't get. And if that's the journey you want, yeah, there you go. So I don't know, what was the value of that month's selection? It says it at the bottom there without showing the
$66.10 for $30 over double. And it was because you threw in on this one the Rocky Patel White Label Robusto, which is the great thing about your club. You really, truly never know the dollar amount you're going to get. But from what I've seen, you almost consistently come close to doubling that value every single month.
Well, we
I think the lowest I've seen is like $55 in MSRP value.
So value is always a thing to our club, but it's just we want people to try new things, and that's what's really worked for us. So, to answer Cody, in honor of our release and drop, I'm smoking the beef stick, which just was dropped yesterday for everybody who pre-ordered back in March. If you did not pre-order, the remaining bundles will be available for sale Monday, noon Eastern Standard Time, and this is fantastic. So, and I think that's what made our Cigar of the Month Club popular, and that's why we have a very low attrition rate. We have very few people who leave the club. Very few for these types of clubs. In fact, we just hired a new employee who came from one of the major outfits, and he was telling me the average. Here's a perfect story. When I say one of the majors, I mean one of the top four in this industry, and he's come to work for us. He's been a great addition to our team, and we have 1, 2, 3 year anniversary memberships. These are people who've been in the club for 12, 24, or 36 consecutive months. And he saw this and he blew his mind away. He goes, yeah, I think the average person stays in our club for 3 months. 3 months and they're out, you know? So that's a testament to the quality of our club, that we actually have a lot of 3 year, 36. The whole club is only 3.5 years old. I think June was May was our 3 year anniversary. And we have a lot of people who have reached their 3 year milestone in this club. So for me, that's an amazing testament of the club and what it does. Now, there are other clubs who claim to be, a high end only club, or this club or that club. And if that's what you're looking for, that's great. But for me, as a businessman, as a connoisseur, somebody who's in the industry, I look at those models and I don't see a way to sustain it. I can't tell you how many of our members said, hey, listen, can you make a high-end club? I mean, we wouldn't mind paying like $50 a month or $60 a month. Okay, that's great. I mean, I could do that for 6 months or 12 months, and then what? I've run out of $20, $25 cigars to,
Correct.
the pool of $8 to $12 to $15 cigars is never endless.
Correct.
It's never ending. It's coming out all the time. But there's a handful of cigars that are over 20, 25 bucks. There's a handful, and even scarcer, of rare or limited cigars. So none of those are really sustainable. This model works. It's a real model. It works for us. We're not making stories. These are all brands that you could go to your local brick and mortar and buy. And I think that's why our club has resonated so well in the consumers. And honestly, I don't know why we don't have thousands of members more. It's literally, I think in any universe, you couldn't get a better bang for your buck. And I just don't understand. But part of it is, I think it's just word of mouth. I think, people are telling their friends about it and they sign up. But it's mind-boggling, because honestly, it's literally the best value I can imagine anybody getting.
Let's address Craig's comment, because it goes to literally what you were just talking about, how he has ordered so many cigars and something that he's never tried before. And one of the other great values that you put on your club that we haven't touched on is the fact that you throw in a 15% off discount code for anything in the club that people like and they want to go.
Yes.
That is a huge value.
Because this is what this is about, right? I mean, look, let's face it. If you're a foodie, right? I'm a foodie, if you couldn't tell. If you're a foodie and you travel to a town, what's one of the things you love looking up? All the different great places to eat, because you want to try this place and this famous place. Where that's kind of what Cigar of the Month Club is supposed to be about. There's a lot of great cigars out there, and you may not be willing to go into a store and listen. It's hard sometimes to try something new. And listen, I fight my oldest daughter. It's funny. We can go to any restaurant, and I can tell you the dish she wants to order, any of the regular places, because she's one of those people, like, she's too afraid to try another dish because she knows she really likes this dish and doesn't want to have a disappointing dinner. But I told her, if that's your mentality, you'll never find something new, and you may never find a dish you like better. Sometimes you gotta take those hits of, all right, that wasn't a great meal, I'm never gonna order again, because more times than not, you're gonna like it or find something you like even best. So cigars is kind of the same way I look at it. They'll walk in the humidor, Pope. They'll walk in the humidor and they may be hesitant, say, I really want to lay back, I want to enjoy my cigar, I don't feel like experimenting, and they go with their tried and true. But the Cigar of the Month Club kind of really forces them to say, hey, listen, you have no control. These are showing up at your doorstep, and you're going to try them. And it forces them to get out and try things. And a lot of them, I mean, I'm never more happier or feel content when I see posts like what Craig said. Like, I would have never tried these brands. I tried this because this was the exact idea and principle and why we wanted to create the Cigar of the Month Club the way we did.
Yeah, and let's also, be upfront. There's a lounge here that is or that has well over 1,000 square foot. It's one of the biggest humidors in the country, especially this side of the Mississippi, and it's in Colorado Springs. And you go in there, and even to somebody that smokes cigars on a daily basis, it could be a little exhausting, a little overwhelming. So this club does a really good job at taking that guesswork away and just giving you five really good cigars. Some are old favorites, maybe, and some you've never tried. And that's where I love your club a lot. And that's where I do think it is the best damn club, because it's not overstock. It's not stuff you can't sell. It's handpicked, and you do a great job. But I would be very interested, Abe, to know how many people bought the advent calendar that are also in the club, because they bought with the club. That's the trust factor of
I
your
don't think
decision.
the club is what created. I mean, for some people it did, but I don't think it's what created our reputation. Because you got to remember, the club's only 3.5 years old. I've been doing this for 26 years.
No,
We've
but choosing 25 blind cigars and how good you are at choosing cigars is my point.
Yeah, but we've also had a great track record for 26 years, whether it be the great smoke events, whether it be a annual poker tournaments that we used to do, or whatever. We've kind of built the following that people know I like to try to over deliver, all the time. So I'm not sure if the Cigar of the Month Club drove Advent Calendar business. I think we kind of already have that reputation that if I'm involved, and honestly, I think it's one of the reasons why the manufacturers like working with us so much, because they know we're not going to let them down, that they're going to be represented properly. Like, when they don't have cigars and they're on shortage and they're giving me cigars for an advent calendar, they barely got to see the package and they trusted me and look at the package we put it in, right? So you just develop that reputation of, look, we're always going to shoot for the stars, and that really gives our manufacturer friends the confidence to say, listen, we want to be involved with what's Abe doing. Listen, when I did the digital experience for the Great Smoke, I know I'm talking to people and telling them what I'm going to do, and they're looking at me cross-eyed saying, what is this kid talking about? Like, you're going to what? Accrue 7.5 hours? I mean, they had literally no, listen, my own staff couldn't conceive of what this final product was going to be. But it's just like doing a puzzle. You start with the outside edges, you really can't see the picture, and as you start getting closer to the event and you start filling in all the puzzle pieces, the picture starts forming, and then everybody starts seeing it. And it really wasn't until after the fact that everybody kind of realized the depth and the magnitude of what we accomplished. And for these manufacturers, say, so wait, you want us to give cigars? You want us to send you cigars that you're not even going to have an event, and you're just going to mail them to people, and you're not going to have an area for people to come and celebrate and have sales, and you're just going to do this online? They had no comprehension. But it's literally because of our reputation that they just realized, all right, we may not understand what exactly he's talking about, but we have confidence Abe's going to pull something pretty cool off. And that's worked for us, thankfully, over the years.
So, where do you see Smoke Inn creating next? What is on the horizon that you're willing to share and talk about, that Smoke Inn's going to be offering new, if anything currently is out there?
2023. So in my career, we have these milestone moments, I like to call them, right? Stuff that is a breakthrough occurrence that takes us to another level, or to another level, and to another level. Obviously, our warehouse, and last year was one of them. But I have very good vibes about 2023. Our team is getting stronger in the back end, and we're constantly looking to recruit more people. We're going to be doing a lot of different things that people will start seeing on the website, and different ways of marketing. In fact, there's stuff I can't even talk about because it's so off the wall that we're looking at in 2023. But I think 2023 is going to be a breakthrough year for us. We're very excited about some of the things we got lined up. That's going to keep us on the trajectory of, my goal is becoming one of the big 4 or 5 or whatever it is. So that's a trajectory that we're looking to do. But always look, the trick is not just growing exponentially. It's how do you grow exponentially but maintain that personal touch, which was one of the reasons why I delayed in getting in the online business for so many years, because I couldn't comprehend, what made me good at what I would do was I'm in the store all day. I'm in one store with people, and they all know me, and I know all of them. And we have great times, and I cater them, I host them, and we're friends. And after work, we play poker. How do you do that with online? You know, and it really wasn't until social media came along and really made that connectivity possible. I mean, a great example here is Wes, who's on our chat tonight, Wes Schreiner, from Wisconsin. I've been social media friends with him for 3 years now. You know, I just met him for the first time last weekend when he came down as one of the Raji weekend getaway winners. So, I mean, that's helped us. So, our goal is not just to exponentially grow, but to exponentially grow in a way that we don't lose that connectivity with our base and that feeling of culture and family, which is not easy. I mean, we ship out a stupid number of packages compared to when we first started our e-commerce business, but yet I still will not send out a normal order without a handwritten letter. That takes time. If I ever hired a efficiency company, they would totally ream my ass and say this is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. But that's one of the things that we will not give up. So that's the trick. I think one of the coolest projects I'm looking forward to next year, which God, man, it just keeps getting better and better, is our NFT project, right? So you have to give credit. You have to give credit where credit is due. La Flor Dominicana did something that shocked the hell out of me, um, and its success. So obviously there was a need for something like that. I think that there's no better guy to do a project like this than Pete Johnson. I think the Twanke Anarchy is the perfect cigar for a project like this. I mean, perfect example. There was a new bartender that Moxie just hired. I never met him. I'm walking outside. He walks up to me. He goes, "Oh, you must be Abe." I say, "Hey, nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the team. Do you like it?" And we're having a little small talk. And he says, "Look, I know I just started working here, but I hate to ask, but my brother begged me. He said I had to ask you." He goes, "My brother's a big cigar guy. Do you happen to have a Tatuaje Anarchy?" I'm like, "Oh, dude." Like you went right to the top. Those have been long gone. I said I might have a chaos lying around, but one of the original anarchies are gone. So the cigar has a proven track record, and I can't even talk about it yet because it's not finalized. But there's two other major companies that may be getting involved. That's going to probably make this one of the coolest NFT packages ever. I mean, two big companies. So this is going to be a real prize, I think, for retailers. I doubt consumers will bid on this. I'll be shocked if consumers will bid on this, but there might be some hardcore people. But the art, we have an artist who's creating all original art for 7 unique NFTs. I just saw the art, and only one is being remade, but the art is pretty badass. And the final package of what the NFT winner is going to get is going to be it's going to be amazing. It's literally just taking what LaFleur did and taking what I've been good at in my career is taking a good idea and just blowing it up. And that's literally what we're doing with this NFT. We took LaFleur's great idea and we just blew it up like 5 levels. I mean, hands down. And I think there's going to be a lot of retailers out there that are going to want to be one of the lucky 7 companies that will have this historically epic cigar dropped in their cigar shop once a quarter in perpetuity. That people will be looking for every quarter. So I'm very excited about my NFT project. And as we get closer to spring, early summer next year, Pete and I will probably go on a bunch of shows like yourselves so we can answer questions and get more in depth about that NFT project. That's something I'm very excited about for 2023.
So it's not just going to be a Smoke Inn exclusive NFT. It's going to be available for all retailers.
Well, what's going to happen is the NFT package is going to be an original piece of art, the digital version. What we're going to do is we're also going to give you a real canvas of the original art because we hired a real artist to make it. And I'm old fashioned. I like to say, hey, we gave you something physical, not just some blockchain art. But along with that, they'll also get a special, and Pete's working on this beautiful special 60 count box, which will have 45 of the original anarchies in the original format and blend, and 15 pale horse versions, which these 7 winners of the NFTs will be the only people in the country who will ever get those 15 cigars. So that's going to make it rarer than rare. And then on top of that, we have 2 other components I can't talk about yet with major companies that's going to be involved in this NFT package and all the art. And then those NFT owners, the winners, it's going to be a live auction. They're going to bid to see who wins it. They will have the opportunity to get 15 count boxes every quarter. So every quarter that shop will have an allocation of 15 count boxes of the Anarchy. So they'll get 225 cigars a quarter that they can then sell to consumers who will be looking for it. I'm pretty sure they'll be looking for it adamantly.
So I guess what is the value an NFT brings to you to do? Why take that project on?
Well, one, Twahi Anarchy was our first microblend ever. Okay. As a small operation, we went through 3,200 boxes. It was written in Playboy magazine. It's an epic cigar. It was redone in 2016, I think. Only 600 boxes or 666 boxes. That was it. I asked Pete to make it every year. We have consumers looking for it every year. This was kind of a way I got Pete hooked, so that now this cigar will exist every year for people to be able to find. That's really the main beauty of it is that cigar is going to come out of hibernation and be a product that will be available all year long, every year in very limited quantities. So there's 7 people who have the NFTs, and what do we say? 225 cigars a quarter. Yeah, so times 7. Yeah, so it's only going to be about 1,600 cigars a quarter that'll be available to the Twahi fans and cigar lovers every quarter around the country. So, but instead of it never being out there, it's going to be out there. So it's bringing back to life my first microblend ever and making it available to consumers. So that's what's super cool. Now, being that this is our project with Pete, and I own the Anarchy name, he owns the Twahi brand. We're going to own one of the 7 NFTs. Smoke Inn will have one allocation, and we're going to auction off the other 6. So there'll be 7 retailers total in the country. I'm assuming retailers. There could be a consumer who's going to buy it, and either he'll smoke them all or maybe he'll put some on the secondary market. But I'm assuming it's going to be, at the end of the day, 6 other retailers, including ourselves. Oh, I lost you.
So what are you willing to share if you're going to do this with any other microblends? Like,
here's the thing, it just can't be done with any cigar. I think the model of LaFleur doing it with a cigar that no one ever tried or no one ever smoked, I think they got lucky. I just can't see people getting excited about something they didn't know. Anarchy has already been out and existed for 12 going on 13 years. So there's already a proven market for it. People are still looking for it. So, I just don't think it'll work. Maybe there's one more down the road, maybe that has the legs for it. It's just not something you could do just say you want to do it. If you don't have the right ingredients, you can't cook the meal. And Anarchy has all the right ingredients for this meal.
Now, I have not had the privilege of trying the Anarchy. It's definitely a cigar.
A lot of people haven't. It's like a unicorn. At this point, it's a unicorn.
Now, I do want to ask you, because my favorite of the micro blends that I have been privileged to try from you is the Pope. Is that going to be, you've kind of released that one 2 years in a row. Are you planning on making that an every year release?
Well, we'd love to. It's not up to us. I think Pope has legs and it warrants to be an annual drop, but that's really up to the fine folks at Drew Estate.
So, how do you choose a company to go with on your microblend? Because you obviously have to be fairly choosy. That brand has to have a backing to it. How are you super picky, or do you kind of have like a waiting list of companies willing to go down that road with you?
Sometimes it's just a timing thing. I was in Miami Monday and we were sitting in a company's office that never had been involved, major company. And we just said, look, we have this, we'd love to have you involved. They said, yeah. So sometimes it's just timing. Um, but, you know, we obviously are dealing with people we know make quality cigars, have great reputations, you know, whether it's Lugione, Pete Johnson, Fuente, Padron, um, Dunbarton. I mean, my father, Drew Estate, Casada was in the original. These are all hugely reputable companies, Room 101. So we're working with talented, companies and people. Then it's just a matter of us figuring a blend that we like. And we've been lucky because the stuff we like seems to be well received by our fans. So it works.
So, on that same point of picking companies for micro blends, you have 32 companies coming to TGS. How do you choose who you want for the limited releases?
Listen, there are some people we ask says that they can't get in their production schedule, so that's part of the problem. Um, but look, we want to share the love. You know, Robert Holt of Southern Draw came to us last year and said, "Look, why wasn't I asked?" I said, "Well, Robert, I mean, this is only the second year we've ever done it. And technically the first year because when we did when we did the digital experience, we just were trying to make something special for the digital experience, and everybody was home as COVID. We didn't think this was going to be something that would end up being incorporated into the Great Smoke moving forward. So, like, Robert, I mean, we're going to try to share the love across the board with everybody. So, Robert Holt is one of the guys that's here, you know, and we're going to pick some new people next year. I mean, it's just, we look at who's invited, who's coming, who hasn't had a chance, and who we feel can do it. Some people just say, look, we can't get something special in our production schedule. And that's the way that is.
Now, is there a brand that you've ever tried to grab, whether it be for micro blend or, well, let me ask this question first. Would there ever be a TGS release? Because the TGS releases are only available to those that go to the TGS, either virtual or live.
Yes, that's why we don't call those microblends.
But
So
would you ever bring one
we've
of those to a
kind of
micro?
categorized our thing where look, it's just getting blended a little bit lately because we're just expanding in so many different ways. So now we have our microblend series. Now we have TGS releases, and then the TGS releases were only offered to TGS ticket holders. But then we re-released Sociedad Secreta to the public because it was such a big hit. So it's kind of getting blended all over the map at this point, and that kind of happens when all you're trying to do is make people happy and give them what they want. So that that's just kind of how that works. But no, I mean, listen, look, it was really funny. I'll share a great story with you. True story. I'm not even ashamed to say it. Um, so we're at the trade show this year, and I'm lining up companies to work with microblows, right? So I met this major manufacturer, not major in size, but extremely well known manufacturer. Sells a lot of cigars, big company, kind of the bigger of boutique companies. Let's put it that way, and family company. And my operations guy's son, Daniel, who used to work for us until he graduated college, likes to go with his dad, enjoys the trip. And I love him coming because he's always a big help with me. He's very helpful. We joke with his dad. We tease his dad because I call him my son, and he calls me dad instead of his own dad. So Danny's with me. We're talking his company, and I finally breached the topic of making a microblend. And we walk out of that meeting like, oh, that went better than I expected. I really thought there's going to be some hemming and hawing, and maybe talking him into it because a lot of people don't want the headache, or they're afraid, right? They don't want to make something that doesn't get received well, and they think it might be reflective of their brand. Um, and I'm like, that went well. And he literally says to me, he goes, well, would anybody ever tell you no? Because he couldn't conceive of why they would say no. I said, well, I don't think anyone would ever say no. But what they would do is say, well, we don't have the production for it this year. We're having a hard time getting our own product. Maybe we'll look at it in 2024. So they have ways of saying no without blatantly come out and saying no. And we just finished this conversation, and we walk over to the Placencia booth. And I'm good friends with Hank. I'm talking with Hank. I said, Hank, we got our microblend program. And Hank goes, oh, yeah. I said, look, we'd love to add you to the portfolio. We love the cigars you're making. I think we'd like to work with you to try and make a microblend for us.
Ooh,
And Hank says,
awesome.
it's a great idea. Let me go get Junior, and I'll be right back. He walks away, comes back 5 minutes later and says, he said no. And I literally looked at Daniel and said, see, there you go, buddy. There's your first no ever. It literally happened 10 minutes after we had this conversation. Less than 10 minutes. It was the walk to the Placencia booth. Now, in their defense, they were one of the booths that was jumping. So there really wasn't the best time. I think they may have misunderstood. I think that he may have thought we wanted a regular house brand, which means they have to allocate production time on a constant basis and not a one and done project.
Yep.
But I just realized this ain't the best time to discuss it with him. I'll wait till another time where we could actually talk and whatever. So he may have not understood me or understood because I didn't even get a chance to talk to him. He was so busy. Hank went there, brought back. Who knows what the translation of the conversation was. But it was just really, really funny because here I'm telling him no one would ever say no. And like 5 minutes later, I got my first no ever.
So obviously doing something with Placencia would be a lot of fun. They absolutely fantastic cigars. They're definitely a huge player. Is that like, what's the biggest no you've gotten from a brand, if you're willing to share, that you were like, damn, I really thought they were going to do something? Like, have you ever kind of gone through that process?
That was it.
Halted?
That was it. Because part of why I'm successful at business, I really try to always imagine what a deal or a proposition looks like to the guy who's sitting across the table from me. Sure. I typically won't ask something that I wouldn't take, the deal myself or like the idea myself. So I seldom really get a no. Sometimes it's really a logistical issue, or sometimes, it's something else, but it's never really like a no. And then sometimes I'm asking something that I know is a stretch. So when I get a no, I'm not really like, okay, I had to try, right? And I'll never forget when we were doing our second microblend ever, the Padron SI15, right? So I have the Padron family willing to make us a special cigar exclusively for our shop, which is a monumental thing within itself. And God rest his soul, I'm talking to the old man, Jose Orlando Padron. I'm talking to George Padron. And I kind of knew going in, this was a long shot. Like, most likely not going to happen. But what the hell? I'll try, right? Because we sell a lot of Padrones. It's probably one of our best-selling brands constantly every year. But what's funny is there are people who buy more Maduro. There are people who buy the natural more often. But those people will typically buy both, right? Sometimes they're in the mood for natural. Sometimes they're in the mood for Maduro, even though they smoke one more than the other. I said, look, wouldn't it just be cool? And I know it's kind of gimmicky, but when it's done right and with the right reputation, it's not gimmicky because they'll be looking at Fuente in between the lines. No one looks at that as a gimmicky cigar.
No.
Wouldn't it be cool to have an Aniversario barber pole, right?
Ooh.
I knew this was a long shot going in.
Interesting.
I knew it was a long shot. So I'm talking to George, and the old man's next to us, God rest his soul. And George is like, no. I said, but George, no. But George, listen to me. I mean, I don't think of it. It's not going to happen. I said, but why not? And as I'm talking, the old man sees this. And he really had an affection for me. Thank God. He really, really did. He just goes to George. He goes, what is he talking about? What does he want? Because typically, honestly, anytime I really kind of wanted something and George was hesitant, the old man just made it so. He would say, nope, we're going to do it for Abe. He was awesome. And once he said that, there was no more argument. It was happening. We've been very blessed to have Padron work with us on a few projects, not just one. And it was really cool. We had the old man's 89th birthday blend here. The cigar was released here. They came down. We've been very blessed with that family. And it's mostly because of the affection the old man had for me. So when he hears the explanation of what George tells him of what we were asking, his exact response was, no. I stopped talking. That was it. Idea was dead in the water. But I wasn't disappointed because I really was expecting a no going in there. But that's one of my favorite stories. That just wasn't going to happen.
So I want to kind of delve into a little bit on just for a few minutes here on what, because I know you are a mentor to a lot of people, and I know you've had a lot of mentors. We've talked about it on the show when you've come on in the past. You showed us the picture of that you have in your office of shoot, I forgot his name. I'm so
Sal or
sorry for
Harry?
it. Sal.
So,
And you. So when people call you and ask you advice around starting up a business or a lounge or really anything, kind of what is your question process that you ask people? Because one of the things I've noticed about you is when I even call you and ask you about stuff, a lot of times you ask why do you want to do this, why what is your mindset, what is the idea behind it? So how do you take that to somebody that's truly serious about starting up a business and really truly wants your advice?
nothing. I just give them the best advice I can. I mean, I've made mistakes. I've kind of learned things along the way. And look, if someone wants my advice on anything, that's an honor. That's not something I take lightly, which is why I also tell people, look, sometimes you may not like my advice because you're asking me. You want my opinion on something. I'm obliged to tell you the way it is, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. And when you ask me that question, you're not asking me to be your best friend, and you're not asking me to
Mm-hmm.
coddle you or make you feel good about yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
asking me serious questions, and sometimes the answers isn't what you want to hear. Sometimes it is. And I'm not always right, and I never even try to say I'm right. But I just share my opinions and my life experiences with people to try to help them, and what I think, in my opinion, will aid them to success. Because I've been fortunate in my life that when I've been in those positions, no one ever turned me away. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when I was opening up a warehouse, I had no idea how to open a warehouse. Never built a warehouse. I have no idea what a warehouse is. I mean, you see them on TV or pictures, but I called up, you know, Jeff and Tanya Borshowitz, from Corona Cigar. They're friends of ours, and I said, look, this is what I'm doing. They're like, why don't you just come on up? Took the whole family. We drove up there, went to his house. We had lunch together. Our kids and their kids played the pool together, and Tanya just took me for a ride. Took me to the warehouse, showed me ups and downs. So, I mean, that's a great thing. So I never take that lightly. I don't care what it is. I don't take it lightly, and I'm not here to coddle you. I'll tell you my honest opinion of something I think is a horrific idea. Some people don't want to hear it. Um, but it doesn't mean I'm right either. It's just my opinion. You asked me for my opinion. I'm telling you my opinion. Now you could take that and say, okay, well maybe I could do this and make it better. That's good or not, or indifferent. But I take that as an obligation. If someone asks me for advice, and I just happen to be one of those guys. Like been asked for advice, God, from tons of people, which you know makes me feel good that I've gotten to that position in life where people will look at me that way. But it's an obligation. It's a duty. I look at it as a duty at that point if someone's wanting your help or your opinion, and I don't balk. I don't balk at that at those moments. I take the time, and I'm always surprised at how people are surprised that I take the time. I mean, I don't know the quality of people they hang around with, but that's one of the things I get most often. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I just don't look at those moments lightly. Those moments are serious moments for me, and something I don't take lightly.
And I know I always fully appreciate, when I do text, you text back. And it's one of those things that I don't take lightly because I know you are a very busy guy. And in fact, you've helped me several times over the last couple of weeks in various different ways. One of those is something that I'm doing in December here that will be announced before too long. And you kind of gave me a bit of an understanding. But one of the things that I do look, because I do very much know you're not a yes man. So give your ideas around why it's beneficial to not have yes men around you as a business owner.
Because you don't get nothing out of that. Our best ideas come when we have think tanks, and we do it all the time. I'll say, all right, go get Alex, Matt, whatever. Let's get in a room. I mean, that's how we came up with the digital experience. We think tank it, and I don't want yes man. I want you to shoot down ideas or come. Now, you always get to that point where we won't agree. Alex doesn't think this is a good idea. I see the merits of something, and that's just the way it goes. That's the privilege I have of being in the captain's seat. At the end of the day, I get to make the call. You know, if I make the wrong play call and we lose, in the fourth quarter of a game, it's on me. I live with it.
Correct.
But no, nobody real or nobody intelligent wants yes men. Only really egotistical, narcissistic people want to be surrounded by yes men. I like different perspectives because honestly, one of the shows I used to relate to a lot was House MD, because when they were trying to solve problems, he never looked for them for the answer. He looked at his team to help inspire the answer for him, and sometimes they come up with the answer. Like we were posed with a major problem and how to, I think it was, do the limited releases if we were going to go virtual and live, right? Because I can't have two different inventories. I can't sell a TGS release to people who come to the event, and then what do I do with virtually? Because there's nothing automated. I got people buying cigars live, real time. I got people buying at home. We're going to end up overselling this, so it's going to get screwed up. And because you have to allocate it, and then you might sell out here, but not be sold out here. And we were in here, I think, for an hour figuring out. It was one of the last things we had a hard time overcoming, figuring out how do we incorporate that part of the Great Smoke into a virtual live simultaneous event. And I think it was Alex came up with the idea saying, listen, why don't we just have pre-events that are just for those releases? We could do them leading up to the event, and you have to buy a ticket so they could do it. And it was brilliant. One, it incentivizes quicker ticket sales, so we have a better bearing on where it's going because, everybody knows Steve Saka's TGS releases have sold out year after year after year. And he's the first one lined up. So we know people are going to buy tickets to get that release because if they don't have their ticket acquired by January 4th, it'll probably sell out before they'll have a chance to buy it. So, we just like to think tank it. I don't think anybody of any real sound mind or intelligence wants to have yes men around them. That's more of a insecure person mentality.
Now, I'd like for you to kind of explain a little bit your idea of criticism. And what I mean by that is there's criticism for buildup, and then there's criticism for criticism's sake. So when you're looking at somebody criticizing you, how are you evaluating that comment?
Well, part of it depends on who's doing the criticizing.
Oh, for sure. Totally.
Right. I mean, so you have those people who you just don't criticize or whatever. That doesn't faze me.
Correct.
So if somebody I have mutual respect for, nothing I take in stride. I get criticized for the Great Smoke every year. You think everybody walks out all jolly and happy? We get criticized every year. But some of them are legitimate issues. If you're not open enough or smart enough to hear the legitimate problem, you'll never get better at something. I could open up my list and see one of the 106 items on our list this year, but I guarantee you that many of these items came from feedback from consumers. And look, don't get me wrong, it's a great event. No one's ranting and raving. They'll come up to you politely, hey, listen, the tables. Oh, we'd like to sit together. Is there any way? They'll just nicely suggest it. So, you take criticism in stride, you evaluate the merit of it, and if it's a valid thing, you try to address it the best you can. So, I've never been adverse to criticism. If you're not getting criticism, that means you're not learning. If no one's criticizing,
very good point.
Yeah, if no one's criticizing you, you're not learning anything ever.
Correct.
You learn by being criticized and being critiqued by people.
And so, there goes a really good point on the person doing the criticism has to be a valid person trying to build you up instead of tear you down. And the person taking the criticism has to be mature enough to understand that that person may be trying to actually help you versus just shutting off because you don't like to hear what they're saying.
So I don't think I don't look. I have criticized people, um, to former employees who, I basically said you're not ready to run your own shop because I have two former employees who have their own smoke ins, and I literally just told them, I said, look, you're in my opinion, you're not ready. They think because they come and unlock the door and lock the door every day that they know what it takes to run a business, but you could see it. It's all in the nuances of how they work.
Yep.
And I said you're not ready, and they didn't like that. Now, if someone tells me I'm not ready for something, somebody told Michael Jordan he wasn't ready to be on a varsity basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
What did he go do? Went practice 80 hours a week. So, I tell people you're not ready. And, one guy obviously thought I was off my rockers, and him and a customer went and opened up a cigar shop, and it didn't last a year. Another guy went to another location, thought he was going to do great, then he left there. Now he's in another location. Most people, it takes, look, if you're the person who could take that kind of criticism, that's the person who'll go far in life, because those are the people that are learning. Those are the people who are taking that advice and saying, I mean, listen, man, I listened to my dad for many, many years tell me how lazy I was. And you know what? The guy was right. This is why I try not to get mad at my kids when they're lazy, because I know I was lazy at that age too, man. I wasn't. I mean, listen to me. Don't get me wrong. The standards of what my dad thinks is lazy and whatever, but I would slack, but I worked holidays. I worked in stores. I was always a hard worker, but there was areas we were lazy in, and his comments over the years is what drove me to become who I am today. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, as a kid growing, kids are funny, and as a parent now on the other side, you try to be more conscious of it. But I never took my dad's criticisms as mean. And let me tell you something. My dad had very little nice things to say about me the majority of my life, to my face, to my face. Now he didn't say bad things about me, but look, I would have a great football game, like a tear, like 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, even a defensive touchdown. Right? I'd be coming off the field on a Friday night. I got the parents of the other kids' team, the other team's kids, right? Kids on the other team, their parents shouting at me, 77, great game. My dad was gone already. He was already home. He left. Never said great game to me. But then I would hear when I go to work in the grocery store with him, I would hear all the employees and the other butchers. My dad worked as a butcher, would say, man, your dad said you had a great game. He wouldn't stop talking about it. So, there wasn't a world full of praise coming from my dad. But when he criticized me, I never felt like he was being mean. I never felt like he was insulting. I took it like I was letting him down. Mm-hmm. And how do I not let him down and make it better? I think that was a driving force for me as a child to get to where I am today. So I think we've weakened society and weakened our kids. Oh, you can't say that. You don't quit. I say stuff to my kids. I see other parents are, yeah, man. I'll never forget my daughter's face. I have my middle daughter, who really is a fabulous tennis player. She has a backhand of an adult, shockingly. But I played tennis with them all the time as kids. And, I hadn't played with her for like a year or two, and she was taking lessons and whatever. And she came to me and she said, Coach Jesus says that I could be really, really good and I can compete and maybe get a scholarship, whatever. I said, Coach Jesus gets paid. And, she's like, what? I said, he gets paid. She goes, no, he says, I said, listen, I played with you. You're not that great. And she's like, how could you say that? I said, because I played with you. You weren't that great. But I was fair. I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you what. This Saturday, we will play. I haven't played with you in a long time. I'll tell you. Let me tell you something. We played, and I was wowed. I was like, who is this girl? So after that was done, I walked up to her. I said, you know what? Your coach was right. You really do have some talent. You could be amazing. What do you want to do? You want to pursue this? You want to really take lessons 4 or 5 times a week? That meant the world to her
Sure.
because she knew it was valid. She knew it was real. She knew it wasn't daddy coddling her and patting her on the back. It was a genuine assessment because I hadn't played with you in 2 years. And, I saw you play. I was like, all right, you're all right. Nothing. No, I'm not calling anybody about your performance. To the girl was blowing my mind away. So that kind of honesty, I believe, is a healthy honesty. And we kind of get away with that. And, I just don't think that's good for the psyche. I think you have to have that healthy honesty. Otherwise, you set your kids up for, hey, I could be anything in the world. And I'm like, all right, well, listen, I tell them you can be anything, but you better work a lot harder. You need to work a lot harder because otherwise, no, you ain't going to be that. And, that honesty, I think, is what will, if they really want to get there, is going to drive them there. Not this false sense of, you could go to the moon one day if you really want to. Yeah, okay, great. Go to the military. Go to the Air Force. Go, do all the work it takes. But otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you can go into Space Force now.
Yeah,
I want to touch base on a way that you pushed me to kind of get out of my comfort zone. And since I've been taking orders, I have sent you bacon several times now, and you kind of chirped in my ear for several times as well that I need to kind of offer that up for people. So
listen, it was strictly a selfish reason. I mean, literally, you sent me bacon for my birthday, and one time before that, and it ruined it for us. There's nothing we can go in the store to buy that we enjoy. And I said, look, I'm willing to pay for this bacon, and I think other people would too. And I bought a slab for me recently.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And have you been able to eat? I know you're doing your challenge. Is that over, or are you still doing it?
No, I still got my 8-week challenge. It's been a bad 4 or 5 days this week. But back on the horse tomorrow, which really sucks because the Friday workout is that Gunnar Peterson workout, which is so brutal. I was crippled all weekend last weekend, but listen, I'm just not beating myself up. Actually, I like the routine I got. I like this gym I go to. I like this, F45 style of training. I'm actually looking forward to my workout tomorrow morning.
Well, that's great. I mean, I don't look forward to working out ever, and I need to. But I commend you because the passion that you have for that is much more than what I have, and the fact that you have that bacon in your freezer, and I know how much you like it. I know it's got to be burning a hole.
We cooked 1 pack for BLTs. The rest is still frozen.
Well, one of the things, again, like, just to go to show everybody here, I called Abe strictly out of the blue, interrupted his day, and I think you spent about 30, 40 minutes with me coming up with an understanding of pricing structure, where it should be at, and you really kind of helped me get to that level. And if anybody is interested, just please reach out to me, because now it's a thing that Abe's made, and I'm back ordered a couple of months.
Worth every penny. Worth every penny.
And Fred Rui actually on the show, because I interviewed him the week he got it, and he told me at the time, because he only had it twice, that it was in the top 5 and will probably go higher.
I told Fred Rui, I want to know who the fuck the other 4 are. That's what I want to know. I said, because I was straight up with him. I said, if you like somebody's bacon better than Ryan's, I want to know who it is. I want to try it. I just want to try it.
And Fred, do not give him those names. No, I'm just telling you.
Listen, I still would order from you. I just need to see. Listen, Fred Rui, it's possible, but he could be dead wrong.
Well, I just got to say, I appreciate you pushing me to do that. It's something that I worked very hard on. And I actually have Dan Thompson ordered a slab from McAuliffe. And so if anybody's looking, please reach out to me. I sell it strictly by the slab. And if you don't like the pricing, you can call Abe because he helped me set it. So. So, well, Abe, thank you so much for coming on. But before we leave, you have three children that are very successful, or four. I'm sorry, four children that are very successful. One of your daughters, or a couple of your daughters, are very successful in violin. If somebody was to ask you, where is the point? And I'm asking you this as somebody with a 17-month-old daughter, or close to 17-month-old, where is the point where you stop becoming a friend or where's the point where you stop being a father and you become a friend, or are you never cross that line and you're always a father? Does that make sense?
It's kind of like everything in life. It's a teeter balance. As you get older, you become more friends, obviously, but you want to be their friend. You want them to have that comfortability where they know they can almost talk to you like a friend, but you have to do it in a way where they never forget that you're the parent. I think that's what we try to do. I felt really bad for my son today. Um, I really did, and we talked on the phone a little bit. But he he came to work with me yesterday. The school was out yesterday and today for the hurricane. Um, so he came to work with me yesterday. He loves it. We put him to work. He was labeling cigars with AJ. He was wiping down windows, and I should have took him to work with me today. He's getting to that age where the girls are all older, and it's a lot of girl time in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing against my wife. She loves him, and we were talking about this, and she's like, "I'm going to try to do more things." But obviously, she gets more involved with the girl stuff. She'll do their hair, their makeup, their nails, and there's nothing really to do for him. He's got a buzz cut haircut, and there's not activity, and like he gets lonely. And he literally called me today when I was in a meeting, and he's like, "Hey, Dad." I'm like, "Hey, what's up, buddy? What's going on? What you need?" He goes, "Nothing. Just wanted to talk." I knew he was just lonely. And I'm like, "Hey, pal, I'm going to finish up this meeting a little bit. I'll call you right back." Um, so I know he's getting to that age, but now I got him in sports, and this is my first time experiencing this because none of my girls did any really team sports. He has his second game this Saturday, so I'm very excited about taking the second game. I practice with him on weekends. My father was in town last weekend, put up a chair in the driveway and was watching me giving him lessons. And even my daughters are involved with helping him get better. They help play the defense when I'm trying to teach him offense, and they help play the offense when I'm trying to teach him defense. Um, so it's been a fun time, but I think you got to be both. My son never forgets I'm his dad, doesn't want to disappoint me, but literally says I'm his best friend. He asked his mother today, "Can I call D?" And Brandy's like, "D? Who's D?" Like, "Dad." And she's like, "Where did you start calling him D?" So I think if you really want to be successful, it's a little bit of both, and the ratio of parent to friend will slide over time as they mature and grow and come in their own and eventually become, adults themselves.
So, what with this will end the show. What is your biggest and proudest moment of your life?
I'll never forget when my first daughter was born. I mean, literally. I mean, there's a lot of things I've been proud of when we've pulled off the first Great Smoke, when we pulled off the Great Smoke digital experience, last year's Great Smoke, opening of our warehouse, getting married to my wife. But the shock and terror and utter joy of that first child experience, because you don't get that in the second, third, and fourth ones, right? I'll just never forget. I mean, I thought it was like, going to be like on TV, where eventually after the baby was born, I was going to walk up to a glass and they were going to have 30 babies in. And I'd look and find out where mine was. And I would, "Hey, Pat," I would tap them behind the glass. This is what, this is what I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. I mean, watching a C-section birth was a little traumatic. My wife's all drugged up. Then they pull out this bloody blob. And my wife's getting pulled in this direction, subconscious, barely knowing what's going on. This woman's pulling me in this direction, saying I got to go with the baby. Then we go to the baby, and she cleans it all up and weighs her and stamps her and does all this crap, and then takes me to the room. She's like, "Do you know how to swaddle a baby?" I'm like, "What? Do you know how to?" No. So puts a diaper on, swallows her, puts a little cap on, hands me this little bundle, and then proceeds to leave this room. Where are you going? Your wife will be here in 40 minutes. 40 minutes? What am I going to do 40 minutes with this baby alone in the room? And it was like the most precious time I ever had. And obviously, our good friend Ronnie is going through it now. He just had a baby. And I did something very special with each of my kids. I told Ronnie to do this. I actually have him here. So, every one of my kids, I'll pull out my daughters. Oh, this was wrong. Every one of my kids. When they were born, it's in this thing. I just don't know where they found. All right, I give up, but it's in here. Each of my oh, Jesus, big folders. So each one of my kids had one of these. We pull pictures out. How could I miss it? So I told Ryan to do this. And how old is your baby now, Ryan?
Almost 16, little over 16 months.
Are you kidding me? This ain't it. This is the thing. Jesus Christ. Anyways, it's in this file. I wrote a birthday card to them on their birthday. On the day they were born, or the week they were born. And I wrote how I was feeling, what my hopes was on what kind of father I was going to be to them, what I hoped I'll do for them, what kind of life I wished for them. And the birthday cards are sealed, and they'll get them on their 18th birthday.
That's awesome.
I just think it's going to be cool when they're 18 to be able to know what I was feeling the day they were born 18 years ago. And I told Ronnie to do the same thing with his daughter. And my daughter's 14. I'm 4 years away with having to give away the first birthday card. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, the time flies, man. Absolutely flies. Thank you so much for sharing that. That means a lot, and I think that gives a lot of people insight into the type of family man, if they didn't already know, that you are. Your proudest moment was the day your child was born, and you've had so many great accomplishments throughout your life. But that's the single proudest moment, and that's great insight to your character, and also great insight to the reason why a lot of people trust you, love you, and rely on your advice and everything else, because you are incredibly grounded. And I know I firmly appreciate. I did not do that, Bruce, but my wife and I probably will. That's a great idea. I still absolutely remember very vividly how I felt when my daughter was born, and I know my wife is too.
She's young enough. You could do it. I think it'd just be very cathartic, because 18 is their time of becoming an adult. It's just a very, technically, it's a very symbolic birthday. So I think it's I'm getting choked up because I know we're going to get choked up the day that happens.
Absolutely, and that's going to be probably one of her most prized possessions throughout the rest of her life. And Abe,
I can't remember what I wrote. I don't know what I wrote. So when she reads it, when she reads it, it's going to be me hearing it literally like for the first time. I'm not going to have any recollection of what I was writing 18 years ago. So it's gonna be wild. I mean, I'm definitely videotaping it when it happens.
Well, I truly appreciate you, Abe. I appreciate your friendship, your guidance, and the trust that you gave me as the very first person that ever believed in my show. I will never forget that conversation. I was scared out of my mind. I was nervous as hell, and you made that conversation incredibly easy. And so I will always be in debt to you for believing in what I was doing and helping me get a good background, because that was one of the first things.
You're not in
So
debt to me. You're in debt to the next guy who needs the help.
absolutely, and that was one of the things that you told me too, is you better be willing to help those the way that I'm helping you. And that's the way it should be. And we've talked about how Kevin helps me. So, from the bottom of my heart, Abe, you're always welcome on the show. You're a good friend, and I truly appreciate all of your help and being willing to give me the time. I consider you a great mentor of mine, and it means a lot to have you come on the show and want to come on the show. So, I will give you the closing for tonight to again tell everybody about TGS and anything that you'd like anybody to know, and then we'll close the show.
Absolutely. So listen, right now the best thing you can do to anybody who's a cigar lover is tell them about the Great Smoke. Whether they can make it down or not, the virtual stuff is so cool. Please tell all your friends about it. It makes life easier for us when we have to stop selling tickets and just focus on working the event. It does. I mean, right now we're working on getting word out and getting selling tickets out there. The sooner we get past that hump, the more we can focus on the event. No one you're going to recommend this event to will be disappointed. In fact, they will thank you and they'll be indebted to you. I can't tell you how many people came last year for the first time and are coming back with a friend. So you all have cigar friends out there. Please tell them about it, whether you want them to come down in person or get a virtual ticket. You're really doing them a favor by getting them involved in the Great Smoke. And if you're a Dunbarton fan, Red Meat Lovers Club beef stick open to the public this Monday at noon. And if you don't belong to a good club, our Cigar Month Club, best one out there in my opinion. And if you want a good community, come join us in our private Facebook group, Smoke Inn Socialites. It's called Smoke Inn Social. Ryan's a member on there. I think almost everybody in this chat is a member on there. It's really a place where it's such an embracing part of a cigar community. Come check us out on Facebook. Other than that, peace. I wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Real quick, Abe, give a shout out to Cody Carroll, who I just invited to the group, and he helped me redesign my logo. You and I talked about that.
Yes.
So big shout out to Cody. Thank you so much. And Abe will thank you and give you a shout out as well, hopefully. There you go. Thank you so much for everyone joining in and the sponsors that support the show. Smoke Inn Cigars, the big man Abe himself, K by Karen McAuliffe, Sagrado Cigars, as well as BAMF, ROCF, and Axe and Oak Distillery, and New Air Humidors. So thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Appreciate you all. Love you. And until we see you again, smoke what you like. Smoke as often as you can. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.
Peace.